card ladder.
I'll tell a story, and this is entirely a flex, right? But it's also a very relevant story on this. And I think I might have told you guys this separately, right? So about like 6-7 months ago, one of the early StockX investors texts me and goes, "Hey man, my kids are getting back into cards. Can you help us get up to speed?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, man, no problem." And he goes, "Actually, I have to be in Detroit next week. Can I come by and you just give me like the 101 on cards?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." So the following week, when Mark Wahlberg came to my house, well, like that was a pretty unique day for like my wife and mother-in-law who were there that day, right? But you know, the thing is like Mark's a couple years older than me, like same thing, like grew up with cards, his kids are getting into cards, like it's as simple as that. And you know, a couple of days later is when you saw him and his kids opening up boxes of Prism on Instagram. And then everyone in the hobby was talking about, "Hey, Mark Wahlberg's getting in the cards." And it's like, yes, he's, you know, one of the biggest actors in the world, but he's the same thing. He's the same generation. He's a sports fan. He grew up in the Northeast in all sports, and like it's the same thing. Like that's us in a nutshell. And like that's the people who get to say what's cool now, and so it's different.
That's a great story.
Yeah, I love a good name.
And by the way, so check this out. So not only did Mark come to my house, but I was late to the meeting of my own house. So
Is it true?
So he told me it was going to be a certain time, and then I figured he would like text me when he was on my way. So I like went and got in the shower, and then he showed up early, and my wife is sitting there talking to him instead of coming and get me out of the shower. So I come out, and he's been waiting like 10 minutes in my office. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
your wife sounds awesome.
Like, I'll entertain this dude. I don't even need you. I'm just gonna talk to Mark Wahlberg.
Are you kidding? I'm gonna just sit here and talk to Marky Mark in my living room.
Yeah, dude.
And what's great is my wife. So my wife is her whole family's from Chile, and she's the first one in her family born here. And so her mother, who was at the house that day, is elderly and she's from Chile. She has no idea who Mark Wahlberg is, right? And like later at dinner, she's like, "That guy who works with you is very nice." And I'm like, "Yes."
Oh, that's hilarious. Is Mark is he a cool guy?
I've got a chance to meet so many famous and high profile people, and it's been really crazy. And he is one of like the nicest, most genuine people ever. Like from the very first time we met, it was always just him. There's no like managers or people I didn't deal with. And you know, I mean, like there was one time I was in LA and got stranded there for a day, and he's like, "Oh, come over for dinner." You know, like he's like the most like normal, like down to earth, like good guy like ever. And you know, I've met a lot of really high profile people, but he's one of, you know, probably a handful that are just like, yeah, like totally like good dudes in there. So
that's great.
What's he up to in the hobby these days? You can talk about it all, Marky Mark.
Well, first of all, I don't know if you saw his they finally launched Wall Street, which is his show on HBO Max about all the business he's involved in. He's involved in so many different businesses, and so they had a couple scenes that they filmed with him and his kids. Someone put in the chat, right? I think they're called Cardboard Boys, opening up stuff. So it's, you know, more as a you know, a hobbyist than anything. He's certainly not involved in a lot of business on the card side. I think he did put a check into that golden round that you know, that they loaded up with, I don't know, every person they could possibly, you know, take a $5,000 check from. But yeah, I mean, it's more about, and you know, he's a Boston guy, so you know, he cares about Boston stuff and Brady and Tatum and that sort of stuff. So.
Yeah, and plus he's got his kids involved, right? Which is good. That's what people care a lot about in this hobby, and I'm sure you think about this. A lot of people, you know, think about this too. You can just go on Clubhouse. You can't spend more than 6 or 7 hours on Hobby Clubhouse without hearing a round of discussion about how getting kids back into the hobby is very, very important. Even like we're talking about today's kids, so that this generational thing that you described can keep on happening. And Mark has his kids involved. But what's your take on that?
But real quick, it was the inverse, right? Like his kids got him back into it as well, and then right, it was like that was kind of what happened was his kids were getting into it, and then he asked me for like, you know, just he's like, "Hey, I want to get up to speed really quickly so I can do this with them." Yeah. And so, and you know, he's been, you know, doing a little bit, but primarily it's through his kids who are excited about it, right? So
That's great.
Imagine everything you love about the hobby in the palm of your hand. An entire store at your fingertips. Everything you need to know about cards is within your grasp. Unlock the secrets of the hobby. Plus, so much more. You don't have to imagine anymore. It's here. Card Ladder. Get the app today.